what is going on, you guys? Bashtian here, and today, guys, I want to go ahead and bring you guys my updated Traptrix deck profile for this, for the current format, I should say. So I've been really trying to go ahead and make this deck as best as it can possibly be, for two things. One, I'm having a lot of fun playing this deck. It's actually really cool to go ahead and play a more trap-based strategy, which I haven't done in a very long time. Not only that, the deck just flows really well together. I love how the deck overall plays. It's a lot of fun, like I said, to play. Like I said before, it's extremely budget friendly to go ahead and pick up the entire deck. It's not going to cost maybe over $100, $150 to completely get it to where you want it to be, to get it to fully competitive. Although it is still extremely viable with just 3 of the structure deck as well. But overall, Traptrix, like I said, 2 reasons. So number 1, of course, having a lot of fun with the deck. But number 2, I put a poll on my channel to ask you guys what is going to be the best deck for me to go ahead and take to the Houston regional, because I am trying to top my first regional. I've never topped the regional before. I've gotten close. I believe the closest I got was I got 65th out of a top 64 or 66. That was when I was playing Trickstar back in 2018, so it's been a while. But I wanted to go ahead and, of course, test it out, and just have fun with it as well. So the poll, you guys, I went ahead and I said I can play either Pure Sprite or I can play Traptrix, and you guys chose Traptrix so far. At least what is looking so far, 65% of you guys are choosing Traptrix. So let's go ahead and I want to go ahead and get right into it, guys. Now, when it comes to competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, I never claimed to be a good duelist. I just claimed to have a lot of fun playing the game overall. But honestly, this deck has been performing actually very well for me. This last locals, I was 2-0-1 until the last round, and I did lose in time in the mirror match, actually. So I think that has a lot to say with this deck. Matchups were Branded Despia, Branded Tri-Brigade. It was a tie against Branded Despia, 2-0, I believe, the Branded Tri-Brigade. 2-0 against Labyrinth, and then 1-2 took the loss in time against the mirror match. So it has a lot what this deck has to say about itself. Of course, there was also a Sword Soul going around. There was some Cash Cheer going around. So it's not like it was just, I guess, not the what they would be considered top dogs decks. So it's just something I want to go ahead and take into consideration. I mean, the deck did perform very well. It was just a time issue, but that is something that I'm going to be changing. This is not the final draft of the competitive deck. It's just what I'm playing for right now. But so I'll make changes. I'll go on them as I go along. Let's get into it, guys. So I played 3 copies of Pudica, 3 copies of Mantis, and 3 copies of Mermello, 3 copies of Arachnacampa, and 2 copies of Dionea. So with these cards, really just make the full basis of the Traptrix strategy. I know a lot of people play 2 Arachnacampa or 2 Pudica. I personally believe you want to see a Traptrix monster in your hand. If you see 2, that's perfectly fine as well, because with the field spell, you just go ahead and turbo them out. Also, that being said, this is a 43 card deck, so it is something to take into consideration. I am trying to also trim it, but none of these cards are going to get cut. All these, I think the ratio of these are absolutely perfect. You want to see Pudica in your hand as early as possible, because she's the one that's going to be able to search you the field spell, of course, and the field spell lets you normal summon twice, which just not only that, it gives you protection from battle. It also gets you additional recursion as well, which comes up a lot as well later, especially in the grind game. Also, her effect to be able to special summon and banish something on the field is absolutely insane. Like that effect comes up so much. Even if it's a card you don't want coming back to the field, just getting it off the field during your turn is perfectly fine, because then you can have a whole card and a whole card set or a Rafflesia set, and then when it gets special summoned again during the standby phase of your opponent's turn, you say, cool, activate Trap Hole, whichever one, and you go ahead and get rid of it as well. So it gets rid of the monster for that turn, so I think it's really good. That's going to be for the Traptrix monster ratios. Then for the other monsters, I played 2 copies of Parallel, Exceed, and 3 Ash Blossom. No Nibiru in the main. I do play another card instead of Nibiru in the main, so it is something that I do want to go ahead and talk about again once I get to it. But honestly, 3 Ash is going to be good enough. It is a blowout card against the Branded strategy, so the second they activate Branded Fusion, you chain this, you hold on to this until you see Branded Fusion, and then you just go ahead and send it to grave, activates effect, go clean off from there, and then you should be able to go ahead and stall enough to get the win after that. So really good card, of course. And then it does a decent amount of work against other decks as well in the meta, of course. 2 parallel Exceed instead of 3. I don't want to have 1 dead card in my deck, and honestly, there's never been a time where I've drawn both of them at the same time. If it does happen, then that's just really bad luck. But I mean, just being honest with you guys, honestly, I think 2 is perfectly fine, because you never want to see 2 in your opening hand or any time in your hand. It's just not going to be well. So anyway, that is it for the monsters, guys. On to the spells. I play 1 Trap, Trip, Garden, and 2 Pot of Prosperity. Pot of Prosperity is extremely clutch, especially going second. If you're going second and you don't have evenly matched in your hand, you Prosperity for 6 and you dig for evenly matched. You evenly match your opponent's board and then go ahead and do your Traptrix plays. This came up super clutch. This actually won me my games versus the Labyrinth player. So I main deck evenly in this deck. Game 1, I had the evenly. Game 2, I didn't have it, but I had Prosperity, so I dug for 6. Evenly matched the board again. So honestly, Prosperity is really good. I'm potentially thinking about bumping up to 3 because I do want to see it often. I want to see it as early as possible, so I can go ahead and dig for specific good cards in my deck and that really help play around the certain scenario, whatever that might be, just a little better. But that's gonna be it for the spells, guys. Nothing too crazy. Now onto the traps. Of course, you gotta play 3 copies of Holotea. I'm sure each and every single Traptrix deck profile is gonna have 3 of these. I played 2 Terrifying, 2 Traptrix Trap Hole, 2 Floodgate Trap Hole, 1 Bottomless, 1 Gravediggers, and 1 Time Space. So there are some changes that are going to have to be made to this. Floodgate Trap Hole is absolutely phenomenal against Kashtira. Traptrix Trap Hole and Terrifying Trap Hole are phenomenal against most decks. Terrifying less against Sprite, but it's something to take into consideration. Bottomless underperformed, unfortunately, this past tournament. Even though I went up against 2 branded players, there was never a time where they summoned Fallen of Alabast to activate effect, which is actually what I did play the Bottomless for. So I will most likely be cutting that. But other than that, I want to go ahead and play a higher Trap Hole number count, just because when it gets to the later game, you are going to have to rely on these, especially if you haven't been able to put the game out. And that's what Traptrix is going to be able to do, is to be able to make it as much of a simplified game state as possible. So I do like that. Again, I am going to have to probably cut some of them because it wasn't a consistency issue. There was never a moment where I bricked. But I just, again, want to increase the consistency as much as possible and fix some things here and there. So the card I played instead of Nibiru was 3 copies of Torrential Tribute. Your extra deck Traptrix cards are unaffected by all trap effects, not just hole effects. So that's really came in clutch. Also, if you have your Flesia, you can't be destroyed by battle card effects. So with that being said, Torrential is to wipe the entire board. I mean, I'm perfectly fine with that if it means taking my opponent's board out too. So it's a lot better than Nibiru in that instance because it doesn't rely on a 5th summon. You can just have any summon and then just blow up the entire board and go off from there. And the last 3 cards is 3 Evenly, 3 Imperm to round off the main deck. So 43 card main deck, guys. Evenly is extremely clutch, but I am going to have to cut it down to 40 cards, or at least as close to 40 as possible for the regional. For the extra deck, of course, I played 3 copies of Traptrix Sarah. Sarah is mandatory at 3. This card is godlike in this deck. 1 Cularia, I should say, did not come up. For one time, it was going to come up, but unfortunately, I did banish her off Prosperity, so I didn't get to make her. 1 Traptrix Adipus. This card is the best boss monster ever. This card is wildly good. I kind of wish his effect was a quick effect, but you know, it is what it is. It still is able to go ahead and negate cards in the field, pop cards in the field, increase everything by 1,000. It does a lot and puts a lot of damage on board for the deck. Adipus, I think, is absolutely nuts, like super wild. 2 copies of Rafflesia, 1 Pinguicula, 1 Alamaris, 1 Exciton Knight, 1 Baguska, 1 Spriggan's Merrymaker, 1 Sargus, and 2 copies of Double A Zeus. So there is a card that I am missing out of here. 2 cards actually, which are going to take these 2 slots. So I'm going to play 1 copy of the Time Thief Redoer. Unfortunately, I was not able to get one before the local. And then 1 copy of Gaga Cowboy, because Cowboy this deck, what it does is it again makes everything into much more simplified game state, which tends to slow down matches, which tends to then lead to going into time a few times, especially in the mirror match as well. So I think having Cowboy in the deck is going to be really essential. I already have my Cowboy here. I just have to go ahead and put it in the deck, and I'm working on getting the Time Thief Redoer soon for you guys. And then I'm potentially thinking about taking out one of the Zeuses for a second copy of Penguicula. But I really like having 2 Zeus in the event you're going up against a cash matchup. It's really good to just be able to go ahead and go into that as well. But that's going to be it for the extra deck, guys. I do want to go ahead and show you guys my side deck as well, because I think it's really good. So 3 copies of Kamungus, the Sticky String Kaiju. This is really fantastic because you can also activate this under the Arachnocampa because it is an insect, so that's perfectly fine as well. And 2400 is not hard to beat over, especially in this deck. Just make a Penguicula punch and then you're good to go. 3 copies of Cosmic Cyclone, 3 copies of Dark Hole, which did come up. Absolutely phenomenal card, especially it's really good in the mirror as well. So it's something to take into consideration. 3 copies of Artifact Lancia, and then 3 copies of the Solemn Judgment. So Artifact Lancia, of course, against Kashtira. Solemn Judgment against any BS if you're going first. Kamungus is pretty much if they go Arise Heart Pass, or if they're going against Kashtira, going second is going to be huge. You just tribute their Arise Heart or tribute their Shangri Era, whichever one's more of a hindrance, and you get to go from there. Cosmic didn't see any play, unfortunately, just because I never got to draw it, but I did side it in a few times against Traptrix and, of course, against the Labyrinth deck. And then Dark Hole saw the most amount of play. I just think that this deck does very well going first already. So having that additional Judgment protection is nice, but everything else is strictly for going second. Dark Hole for board breaking, things like that. So that is actually it for the deck profile, guys. Honestly, I do like the deck quite a bit. I think it can use a little bit more work, so it's definitely an unfinished product at the moment. But if you guys have any advice, anything that you would put in the main or side, anything you would take out the main, definitely let me know in the comment section down below. At the end of the day, I am still trying to make sure I learn the deck as much as possible before the Houston regional. And yesterday was my last day of testing before I'm able to go ahead and actually play in the regional, because I'm going to be going to New Orleans next week. I'm still going to try to record as much as I can this upcoming Saturday, so you guys can have videos for that week that I'm gone. But just so you know, in the event that you don't get videos for the full week, that's definitely why. But if you guys have any comments, questions, put them in the comments, I should say. If you guys have any questions, put it down in the comment section down below. If you guys have any advice, please go ahead and let me know in the comment section down below. I am still trying to make sure that this deck is as consistent and as viable as possible. So if you guys have any type of advice as far as what to play, what I shouldn't play, what I should put in, take out, things like that, let me know in the comments, and I'll go ahead and take each comment into high consideration, because at the end of the day, we're all here to make ourselves better and improve at the game. So without further ado, guys, thank you guys, each and every single one of you guys, for watching. I appreciate you guys so much. If you guys stuck around to the very end, be sure to spread the love, and also be sure to spread the love to the channel by liking and subscribing, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next one.